What is the difference between understanding and realisation?
Understanding and realisation is a great distinction. There's a guy called Werner Erhard who, in my mind, is famous for making the quote, "Understanding is the booby prize." And a booby prize is something that appears like a prize but actually turns out not to be. The fact that you understand the mechanics of love doesn't make you a lover. The fact that you understand the mechanics of spirituality, the nature of the self, the laws of karma and the laws of manifestation, the fact you understand the law of manifestation doesn't make you able to manifest. So it's actually pretty much worthless what your mind knows. What you've deduced intellectually, mentally, about how things are, is all it is kind of interesting. In order for something to actually impact and transform, you have to get it. So there are in fact two stages. The first stage is you understand the concepts that contain the realization. The second stage is that you get it. You get it ontologically. You get it on the level of being, such that it actually transforms who you're being, that life is, such that it turns up differently. So, for example, if you understand the nature of the self, as you understand that it's not your persona, that's not who you are, that the self is other than the persona, that it's not your psychological self that is the self. You understand that. It'll be kind of beneficial just even knowing that, but it won't make any difference in the way that you behave. But if you really get it, if you really see it, if you have an insight, then that will transform your behavior. How do you get rid of addiction? How do you get rid of habit? How do you release and relinquish the persona? How do you let go of the past? What is it required? Is it understanding? No. Everybody understands everything these days, but it doesn't shift them. There has to be a direct insight had by the person himself into the true nature of what it is. And then that allows you to transform. So there's two ways that we learn. One is by deducing and the other is by direct insight. Direct insight is seeing things as they actually are. And that isn't necessarily using your mind in the sense of creating thoughts and conceptual constructs about it. It's actually just seeing it. And then, I'm speaking from experience, that is really what shifts stuff very quickly. But understanding won't. So people, you hear people and they think that the understanding is it. But it isn't. If it hasn't changed you, if it hasn't transformed you, if it hasn't freed you for real from your addiction to the mind, then it doesn't matter what you understand, that it's worthless. But realization is when you thoroughly get it on the level of being, who you're being. Everything that's real stems from being. So what you realize is the concept becomes realized. In other words, it's just an idea and when it becomes realized, it actually has power and impact, and it's got, and it's seen, and it's known on the deepest of all levels. And then that actually brings about transformation. What you realize transforms you. What you realize becomes you and yours. What you understand, you can forget. What you understand, you can lose. What you understand can be wrong. What you realize can't be wrong. What you realize is beyond right and wrong. What you realize is truth. the way things are, coming from insight. So there is actually a huge difference between understanding and realization. Understanding, somebody else realized something and they told you, oh, I got the understanding from the guru or whoever. But realization comes from you, to you, for you, as you. So it's a huge difference. And basically understanding is a dead weight. I've experienced it myself, you become conceited. Because you understand, you think you know. No, you just understand the framework. You just understand, oh, that's how it is. It's like a map. But you haven't been there. There's a huge difference. It's like understanding is like a menu, but you need to eat the food. It's like a map, but you need to take the journey. So do not, I would suggest, do not rest with just understanding. It's not enough. It doesn't do it. It's almost like understanding is the mind's version of realization. There is something to realize that will transform who you're being, that this life is, such that you stabilize in a happy, calm, fascinating, joyous place. You can realize what the self actually is for yourself. They did it, and when someone expresses understanding, the real benefit of it is it proves, because you get what they're saying, you understand what they're saying, it proves that they did it, they've understood it, maybe I can. That's as far as it goes. Their understanding will not be your realization. You have to have your own realization. But it's possible. And it comes from a different place. Understanding is of the mind. Understanding is about conceptual constructs, which do help. It's exciting to get a new concept, to get a new, when your understanding becomes condensed into a new, refined understanding. It's exciting, but it's still, it wears off like getting a new car. It's great for a bit, and then it's just a new car after that. But realization is different. Realization is the goal. To realize for yourself, to unfold the gift of this life, to unfold what's in your heart, to be able to see what is vibrating throughout the moment, and to have realization, to be realizing, making it real, being in that real place, which amounts to waking up. Not in a dream. There's no realization in a dream. There's only realization awake now. And it's offered by life. This is part of what we can have. How great is that? How wonderful is that? So don't go for understanding and think that's it. It must transform your behavior. It must transform your relationship with your mind. It must transform your relationship with your persona and your psychological self. Realization brings about these things, whereas understanding doesn't really do much to them.